Everybody, my name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Well, I've talked before about the Armenian genocide, which is the day that they honor it, I believe it's called Armenian Genocide Recognition Day, is April 24th. So I've talked about how this country, the United States, won't recognize the genocide, and neither will Israel. Israel, I'm going to say that again, will not recognize the Armenian genocide. The Turkish government claims to this day that it wasn't a genocide, it was just, oh, bad things happened during war, when they clearly did a genocide. They so much so that the Nazis went, wow, what Turkey did, we're going to do what they did to the Armenians, we're going to do the same thing to the Jews, right? So for the last week, there's been basically bombing. Azerbaijan is bombing Armenia. And no one's talking about it. So that's, you got to come here because CNN won't talk about it. It's so bad that there was a protest the other day in Los Angeles. Demonstrators blocked the 101 freeway to bring attention to the fighting between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Right? This happened on October 3rd, Saturday. One person held up a sign that said, "This is not a war, it's genocide." And another called out the media, and the sign read, "Armenia needs your international coverage." But they won't cover it. So you got to come to a show like this to get it covered. So Los Angeles has the highest amount of Armenians, Armenian population outside of Armenia, right? It's a huge Armenian population here. And Arno and Ruby, who used to work for the Jimmy Dore show, they're Armenian. So they made me aware of this, and my other friend made me aware of this. So it's another night of protest took place in Hollywood Saturday, with crowds halting traffic on the 101 freeway, blocking intersections to raise awareness of what the local Armenian community calls attacks against their home country. They said this is the only way to bring attention because CNN won't cover it. Armenian protesters in a LA block Sunset Boulevard chanting "CNN tell the truth," demanding international media end its silence on Azerbaijan's war crimes. Azerbaijan and Turkey jail more journalists per capita than any country on earth. Shireen Hashim was killed in Turkey. Shireen Hashim is an American journalist who discovered that we were sending troops. We were letting ISIS go through American bases in Turkey into Syria. Just I'm giving you that right now to show you, and we're going to get into the whole thing. Why this is important is you're going to see how America is entangled with our tax dollars in this whole thing. But let's get back to the specifics of what is going on. They're attacking innocent civilian villages. They're attacking innocent people's homes, said a protester. The clash reignited Sunday and is possibly the most violent since the two countries' 1994 ceasefire. So this is just to give you a quick backdrop. When about 30 years ago, when the Soviet Union fell, Armenia and Azerbaijan were part of the Soviet Union. So when the Soviet Union fell, Armenia said, "We want this part of Azerbaijan, it's ours." They had a war from like 90 to 94, and they had a ceasefire. So there's always been a bad blood and a disputed territory, kind of like Kashmir. Not the same specific geopolitics, but in terms of it's a disputed piece of land, right? Armenia claims it's theirs. Azerbaijan says, no, it's not. The United Nations won't recognize it as an Armenian territory. So these skirmishes popped up actually starting back in July. And they've gotten really bad to where now they're bombing. Azerbaijan obviously says they're defending itself. It's a civilian population. Armenia already killed 19 civilians, but now they're bombing the shit out of Armenia. So this was a protest in Los Angeles. And several Armenian American men said they're going to travel to join this, right? So there's more to this, right? Because I want to show you this other stuff. Because this has a lot to do with the Armenian genocide that happened during World War I. And Turkey, again, won't acknowledge it. Right? They won't acknowledge it. Israel won't acknowledge it. And Erdogan, the Turkish president, is basically, if he can wipe the Armenians back out again, he will. So this is now becoming a proxy war. And I'm going to show you in a minute who's funding what. But this is really, I'll show you the whole thing. I want to show you the whole thing. I really want you to understand all of this. So let's look at this map, this graphic that was put up here. So if you think what's happening in Armenia is a small regional conflict, think again. So let's go over here to the United States, right? On the left of the screen. Largest exporter of weapons to Turkey. So they sell weapons, the United States sells weapons to Turkey, who will not acknowledge the Armenian genocide. So that business deal right there is why the United States won't acknowledge it. Obama, when he was running in 2008, 2007, the primary 2008, he went to all these Armenian churches and said, I'm going to acknowledge the Armenian genocide. It's the #1 issue. Any Armenian will tell you is like, hey, we want this acknowledged. Obama said he was going to do it, and then he didn't. So they felt betrayed by him. Weird that Obama betrayed people. So there's this financial reason. We sell 130 million, we export weapons to Turkey, plus 173 million annually in military aid. So we help fund their military, right? Then let's go to the top circle. So let's go up to where Turkey is. Population is 82 million people. They give military equipment, weapons, money, and allow Azerbaijan to launch from Turkish bases, right? In the middle there, you see Russia that sells military to Turkey, to Azerbaijan, and to Armenia. Now let's go to the bottom. The largest military assistance to Israel, we give $3.8 billion to Israel every year. That comes in the form of military equipment, weapons, and money. So then Israel also gives military equipment, weapons, and launching from Israeli bases. They've been launching from 5 times a day to Azerbaijan, right? So Armenia has a population of 3 million people. The Artsakh region is the disputed region. That has a population of 150,000 people, right? That's the disputed region. So Azerbaijan is attacking, but if you look at this graph, look how, this is what America does. We get tangled up in these things. And look, we could love to have another proxy war with Russia. The last time we had one of them was, Vietnam? So if Russia funds Turkey and Armenia and Azerbaijan, so then who we're going to force Russia? Just watch if CNN does start covering this, it'll be under this narrative. Russia funding Armenia. Somehow they'll try to pin it on Russia. They might not blame Armenia because there's enough of a voting bloc and that Armenians might reject that. But look, if there's a way that Mike Pompeo and Trump and the State Department and the defense contractors would love to ramp up another full war. And this is our tax dollars paying for all this, by the way. So you lost your job because of COVID, your unemployment's been cut or practically you're eliminated or it's about to be reduced. You don't have free health care, but we got money to get tangled up into this crap. But there's more to this, right? So I want to show you this. Armenia recalls Israel ambassador over arms sales to Azerbaijan, just to verify what I just showed you in that graph. An Israeli-made drone can be seen in video footage published by Azerbaijan of its strikes against Armenian targets in the Nagorno Karabakh enclave, where dozens have been reported killed within a week. So you look at that. This video showing an Israeli Orbiter 1K drone. And Azerbaijan's important because it also, one of the reasons Israel supports them is they get oil from them, right? Publicly, Turkey and Israel don't get along, but they kind of do financially and oil-wise, right? Azerbaijan has acknowledged using Israeli-made weapons in its fighting with ethnic Armenian forces around Nagorno Karabakh, where heavy clashes this week have drawn international calls for an immediate ceasefire, but not much from the United States. Protesting against the Israeli weapons expert amid the heaviest clashes since the 90s around this region part of Azerbaijan, but run by its mostly ethnic Armenian inhabitants, Armenian Foreign Minister spokeswoman Anna Magdalian said, Israel's work style is unacceptable. The ministry has to call back its ambassador to Israel. Israel said in a statement that it regrets the Armenian decision, and Israel values. God, just shut. Why do you issue those stupid statements? We all know it's bullshit. Like, who's that statement for? Who's fooled by that statement? Who reads that and goes, "Oh, they value it"? Means nothing. It's like when a corporation gets caught for some crime or poisoning thing or giving somebody cancer with their product. Well, human life is our core value. Shut up. I don't believe a goddamn word you're saying, right? Israel provided Azerbaijan with some $825 million in weapons between 2006 and 2019. Those exports included drones, loitering munitions, anti-tank missiles, and surface-to-air missile system, information from Syria Armed Transfer Defense showed. Here's the footage. This is from the Azerbaijan Defense Ministry. And that's Israeli weapons. Drone overhead. Israel is known for selling military equipment to Azerbaijan. It looks like Azeri Silkway Airlines is heading to Israel for some new equipment. So there's also this. Why hasn't Trump said anything? Because he's got hotels in Turkey, man. That's why. Here's Business Insider. This is from a year ago. Trump's disastrous retreat from Syria raises new questions about his financial interests in Turkey. Remember last October? It's because he's got hotels, man. President Donald Trump's decision. Look at this. The Trump family has extensive business ties in Turkey, and Trump in 2015 interview with Breitbart suggested there could be a conflict of interest. I have little conflict of interest because I have a major building in Istanbul, Trump said at the time. It's a tremendously successful job. It's called Trump Towers, 2 towers instead of 1, not the usual one, it's 2. And it's dumb talk. Trump Towers Istanbul continues to generate revenue for Trump as part of the Trump Organization. Ivanka Trump, the president, daughter, and a White House advisor traveled to her father to Turkey for the launch of the towers in 2012. Here's a tweet from Ivanka in 2012. Thank you, Prime Minister Erdogan, for joining us yesterday to celebrate the launch of Trump Towers Istanbul, Erdogan called for having Trump's name removed from Trump Towers in Istanbul in 2016, accused of then presidential candidate Trump of Islamophobia. Right. Trump's licenses his name to the owner of the building and made $1 million to $5 million in royalties in 2015 and 2016, and he made 100 to 1 million. Turkish business magnate owns the building. The Dogans invested $400 million in Trump Towers, and Trump has boasted about their great friendship. But Trumps also have a close relationship with Mehmet Ali Yalçındag, Dogan's son-in-law, who is president of the Turkish-American Business Council. I mean, it just goes on and on. So you're never going to see Trump, which is why House resolution, congressional letters condemn Turkish and Azerbaijan. This is October 1st. With combined Turkish and Azerbaijan attacks on the Republic of Artsakh, that's the disputed region, and Armenia entering their 5th day, Senate and House leaders are rallying congressional condemnation through legislation and congressional letters, working to bring about concrete policy changes that would cut U.S. military aid to the Elwood regime and sanction President Erdogan for risking regional war amid global pandemic. The bipartisan Spear resolution, which already includes representative Republicans and Democrats, in this resolution, Trump keeps dragging his feet on this. So, folks, that I'm going to show you once again. See how tangled are we up? See, we're so caught up in this. This is what we do in the Middle East. And now in the middle of a pandemic, we're helping fund a country that was decimated 100 some years ago in a genocide. They're trying to finish it out. And people are like, oh, Graham, this doesn't have anything to do with the genocide. Really? Let me just spell it out for you. For all non-Armenians, in case you don't know or wondering why you're seeing so many posts about Armenia, there is a war in Armenia. Imagine, after the Holocaust, Germany went unpunished and 105 years later started killing Jews again. That is exactly what is happening to Armenians today. Turkey and Azerbaijan are trying to complete the genocide. It ain't right. That's why I talk about it. I don't need to be Armenian to see that this ain't right. And the fact, and there's Israeli scholars that have come out to say it's appalling that the Israeli government won't acknowledge a genocide. So there's very prominent Israelis are like, this is atrocious. But when you give $3 billion to Israel and then AIPAC spends all this money, mainly on Democrats, you can't call them out. You call this out in any way, shape, or form. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. It's not anti-Semitism to call out why is our government giving money to this other government? Why is their government spending money on lobbying in this country? And why are they helping to perpetuate a war? And why won't they acknowledge a genocide? I'm mad at the American government for not acknowledging this genocide. Does that mean I'm anti-American? In fact, if you're Jewish, you should be more outraged about this than anybody else. So I'm covering it. Nobody else is. CNN isn't. MSNBC isn't. Fox won't. Because Fox would never show the Trump ties to, right? If CNN covered this, they would only cover some of the Trump. They wouldn't cover the funding. So we'll keep covering this, we'll keep talking about it, and we'll shed some light on this. Because it's not right. One, we need to acknowledge the Armenian genocide. Two, we need to end this funding of Azerbaijan and end this crazy, in the middle of a pandemic where they're bombing a country using Israeli and American weapons? Come on, man. Come on. Our tax dollars could be helping you do a pandemic, but instead it's going for this. We don't need to open the economy back up. We all just need free healthcare and UBI. I've said this from day one of this pandemic. If everyone was given $3,000 a month in free healthcare, and we did student debt forgiveness, I did a video on that. 85% of student loans are federal loans. So the federal government, by executive order, another thing Trump won't do, could just get rid of it, wipe it out. It's not even losing money. Just say you don't owe the money anymore. It's done. It's not even spending tax dollars. It's gone. We could end these 28, 30 million looming evictions that are happening. But instead, we're helping fund another one of these ridiculous quagmire proxy wars. Is this the end game, is to go get into a war with Russia somewhere in Armenia and Azerbaijan? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. This is why when I say end the wars, this is what I mean. We're currently, America is currently bombing 7 countries. That's not counting this funneling of funds for other wars. I mean, if you count what, like this example, I don't know how many countries were like indirectly funding bombing and war. I mean, not to mention countries we're sanctioning. We outspend the next 10 countries combined, and we have people living in tent cities. We have people lining up for food banks. We have people not going to the doctor even though they're working because they can't afford it. We have anywhere from 30 to 60,000 people die every year because they don't have health insurance. It used to be 30,000, but since the pandemic, it's gone up. And yet we're giving money to Turkey and Israel to fund Azerbaijan, to bomb Armenia. Armenians acknowledge their genocide. This is preposterous. This is preposterous. And it's all about, we need these bases in the Middle East to keep the war going, to keep the military-industrial complex going. That's why we invented ISIS and practically we funded them. It's all bullshit. Everything we do is nonsense. It's not for truth, justice, in the American way. It's not defending. It's just to keep the war machine going, to keep the money going from that. We could be helping Azerbaijan and Armenia settle their differences peacefully and help them, get off of Middle Eastern oil and fund a global Green New Deal that saves the planet from climate collapse. Nah, we're just going to keep war going and denying a genocide. Way to go. Well, Rachel Maddow won't talk about this. Sean Hannity won't talk about this. Tucker Carlson won't talk about this. Wolf Blitzer won't talk about this. Joanne Reed won't talk about this. Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, none of them will talk about this. You've got to come here to get that. Please support what we're doing so we can keep covering stories like this. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood. You can support the show for as little as $2 a month. You can also go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood for $10 a month. First of all my videos are free on Rockfin. If you want bonus content, it's $10 a month, and you get every content creator's bonus content. You can listen to the Political Vigilante podcast on iTunes, like, share, subscribe, send these videos out. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching the show. Boom, shave your knuckle for justice.